Welcome, guys, to the last set of Round 1 in CALLOUS Invitational 3. Now, for the keen observers here who go, wait a minute, this isn't the last set. Where is Star and Undisputed? You are right, that has not been uploaded yet. But that game has already happened in real time. That's a thing, it's already done. And it's going to be narrated by Jabba. I don't know when it's going to be narrated by Jabba, but he's going to be the one taking care of that. Hopefully sooner rather than later, and I'll get it up ASAP. But it has already played out in real time. So as far as actual real life time, this is the final set. Just going to give these guys the go-ahead here. We've got ZF on the bottom and Fakes on the top. They both lead Scarm. I told them go ahead. They're both just checking in with me. Just letting them know they can do what they got to do. Lead Scarm for both is tricky. I mean, it's totally possible that one or both of them has a mag. See, that's a disaster for Fakes right there. He's going to taunt the opposing Scarm. He's going to end up taunting a mag, and he's going to get absolutely toasted here. That is a nightmare start. But, I mean, that's one of many bad things that can happen here. It also could end up in a mag-on-mag, and you get into, like, a speed tie situation, or a situation where one of them goes for Thunder Wave, and you get some full para BS. There's a lot of sticky things that can happen here. And then it also gets into, does either one have a Doug Trio? If Fakes does, he obviously plays that right now. Here it is. So, it's a one-for-one trade, and Fakes managed to get one layer of spikes down, which is good. But the problem is ZF still has a Skarmory, so he can get at least one, if not more, layers down. Now, granted, Fakes could be playing double Trapper. It's possible that Fakes has a mag as well. I think he would have gone for it here if he did, so I think that he probably doesn't, but we'll find out. So we've got one layer pop, 5-5 game, 3 pokes revealed for both guys. Blissey coming here, and Blissey getting blown up on. That will obviously have a Doubt Trio follow-up. So we have some quick knockouts in this game. Very, very quickly we find ourselves in a 4-4 situation. Claydol coming down for ZF, so that's going to get rid of the only spike that Fakes had. He could not reestablish that with the Skarm gone, and he couldn't even block that with the Gengar gone. So the Rapid Spin there was an obvious play and was a sure thing. Now Kuhn coming in for ZF. Both players still with unrevealed pokes in this 4-4 situation. Kuhn should have the advantage against Pert here, unless it's one of those really aggressively EV'd Perts that can legitimately pressure it with Earthquakes, or maybe it just roars it out. But the play that he went for is Toxic, and that's going to get blanked by the Skarm. Skarm's going to put a layer of spikes down, and Toxic is also on the Pert now, which is pretty bad. So ZF looks to be ahead in this game, in my opinion. Though it is possible that one of the remaining pokes for Fakes is a Rapid Spinner. And also, the Toxic wasn't as bad as it appeared because, in fact, he's got Refresh. So the set here is Surf, Toxic, Refresh, and Blank. Blank very well might be Protect. This might be the famous Mono Pert, which I think is a really underrated Pokemon. You have to kind of build around it because, obviously, without Ice Beam and without Earthquake, he gives up a bit in coverage. But it can be a very powerful Pokemon when it's on the right team. So Blissey coming in to try to stop a Kuhn here. It's already got 3 boosts under its belt. See if it can do anything with this Kuhn. There's no sand in play, so the Kuhn is ultra bulky right now. It could definitely be last poke T-Tar for Fakes, or for ZF for that matter. That's not wild to think that either of them has a T-Tar, but neither one, if they do have a Tar, has found the opportunity to get it in just yet. And wow, Fakes desperate. He's going for Sing. Does not find it on that crappy 55% accuracy. Damn close to just a coin flip. That Kuhn is almost at maximum boosts. And like I said, because there is no sand, it is ultra, ultra bulky and gonna be a bitch to remove. Fakes is gonna have to force it to sleep and then have Pert or something roar it out. He might not have that. I mean, that's his own fault if he didn't bring a non-trappable phaser. Skarm does not count because, like I said, it is trappable. But most teams do have and should have a non-trappable phaser, which, I mean, if Fakes does have it, he's being ultra patient with it. But it's got to happen at some point because this Kuhn is getting very, very large very, very quickly. And it will easily PP stall out Blissey if it comes to it. Dugtrio coming in, trying to get in on the rest turn. He does so successfully. Now we need to find out, does he have enough juice to kill? The Coon is so bulky without sand. He might survive this despite the Dugtrio coming in at the ideal time. Wow! Wow! Fakes is going to BS him out with a critical hit at the perfect moment. Hot garbage right there. Coon could have woken up, killed the Dugtrio with a surf, and then gone right back to sleep. Fakes gets bailed out by a perfectly timed critical hit. That is some hot garbage right there. And all of a sudden, a game that it looked like Fakes absolutely has no business winning is looking like Fakes is now ahead. The last poke for ZF is Celebi here. If that is a supportive set of Celebi, which is TBD, then he's going to have a hard time winning. Claydol's not going to win. Scarm's not going to win. I mean, he could try to spike some out. ZF can, because so far all three of the pokes that we know for Fakes are spikes vulnerable, and there are 3 layers down. But yeah, there is nothing resembling a sweeper or an offensive presence for ZF. This is a reflect Celebi. I haven't seen that guy in a long time. So it is all defensive and supportive Pokemon remaining for ZF. And if he's going to win, he's going to do it slowly with spikes. And we still don't know the last poke for Fakes, which at this point, he has a vested interest in keeping hidden. That crit was huge. That crit might have been the whole game. And I think Fakes would have been in big trouble had it not gone the way that he wanted it to go. But he finds the crit just at the absolute perfect time. Very lucky for Fakes, very unlucky for ZF. And that might result in the win. This game is not over yet. It's theoretically possible for ZF to win, but he should have won already, more than likely. Fakes is now in very good position to win this game with that very timely critical hit. It's going to be tough to break the Bliss. A critical hit there certainly helps. So now he's in a position where he can crit him again and get him down, which, I mean, 2 crits in a row is very mathematically unlikely. But these things do happen. There is a chance. It does not happen here, but Claydol continuing to press the issue with Earthquakes here. These guys playing very fast. They're probably ahead of me in real time. I don't want to click skip to end and be on turn like 70 or something. But yeah, these guys are playing very quickly in real time, and I very well may be behind where they actually are. That is one of the quirks of live narrating. Celebi here, in and then out, goes to Scarm, who's still asleep, comes in on a protect turn safely. Still don't know the last poke from Fakes. Surf critical hit there, not helping ZF's case. He's the one who needs to catch some BS, not Fakes. Toxic on Celebi. This could be grindy if they opt to play it out, which, if I'm ZF, I would play it out. I don't think he loves his chances. How could you? But it's still possible for him to win this game. Leech Seed and Surf coming down here. Let's see. Blissey at 86%. That's pretty healthy. Purd is pretty healthy. Dugtrio has some damage on it, but it's in okay shape. And then we still don't know the last. But remember, every time something comes in, it's taking 25% from those spikes. There we go. Last poke Starmie. That might end it. If he just goes Rapid Spin here, I think it just becomes super difficult for ZF to win. Ooh! Ooh! There's some BS back for ZF. He gets a crit and kills the Starmie. Now, granted, this is just a trade, but that keeps the spikes down, which gives him a brief glimmer of hope. I still think Fakes wins, but keeping the spikes gives him more than 0 chance in hell, but not by too much. ZF is going to play it out here, see if he can grind out this Bliss. One thing he needs to do is wake up, and he's not even going to gamble on that. He's just going to go to Claydol. Let's see, Scarm has been asleep 3 turns. Pretty damn good chance he would have woken up there. Fakes decides Dugtrio has very little purpose in this game, and he fodders it off. We end up with Swampert on the Claydol here. Very interesting. I wonder if he booms here. It'd be a high-risk, high-reward play, but if they traded here, the Scarm could possibly beat the Blissey. Maybe not. It's so low. Yeah, it's at 29%. Ugh. I guess you can't boom here. I don't know. Does Claydol fish for like a Psychic crit or an Earthquake crit or whatever its attacks may be? A Shadow Ball crit? Protect? Earthquake? So we are crit fishing here, and we're finally caught up to real time, so this is where the players are right now. They finally are stopping to think, trying to not make mistakes in this very tight endgame here. It should go Fakes' way, but there are still things, crits, a crit being a big one, but I mean like an Ice Beam from Claydol, if it even has that, a freeze would be important. Most people have abandoned Ice Beam on Claydol. That's not really a thing anymore. Alright, so Earthquake comes up short. So what needs to happen here is Skarm wakes up, protects, gets lefties, Drill Pecks, kills the Pert, and go from there. There's the Drill Peck and the knockout. So it comes down to a 1v1 against Pokemon that are usually on the same team. They're usually partners. The Skarm Bliss combo. S-Toss should do it. Drill Peck needs to crit here! And it does not, but it comes down to the very last turn. Blissey will knock out Skarm, and it will go game 1 to Fakes. Damn close on that one. Could have gone either way. Some hacks both ways, but the most important of which was definitely the Dugtrio against the Coon. We found out after that the last poke, Starmie, definitely does not have a phasing move and could not have forced that Coon out. Nothing could have, as we now know. And as such, that Coon should have simply won the game from the position it was in at +5/+5. The only other out Fakes would have had is going to the Starmie and just getting a crit T-Bolt, or if it has Ice Beam, perhaps a freeze and the Coon never thawing. But it would have been overwhelmingly likely that ZF wins the game had the Dugtrio not crit when it did, and that was really lame. But that's the way that it happened, and Fakes is going to steal one from ZF on the back of that crit. So now we simply wait for game 2. ZF needs to keep his head in it. He's got to be frustrated with the way that game went. I don't know him well enough as a person to know if he's a player that is inclined to tilt or inclined to let what happened last game get in his head, but as a generic piece of advice, obviously it's very important for ZF here to not be affected by the last game. It already happened. Can't change it. Yes, it was dumb. Yes, it was aggravating. Yes, you should have won. But it didn't play out that way. Game 2 is a new game. Got to put the previous game behind you. So hopefully ZF is not on tilt as we start this game 2, where he will again be on the bottom. Fakes is on the top, and it's a lead Skarm for the second time in a row for ZF. He goes straight Whirlwind, however, which is a smart play, because it gets rid of Calm Mind, it gets rid of whatever he could have hypothetically Baton Passed to, and it would have gotten rid of Magneton as well. So I definitely agree in this situation with the turn 1 Whirlwind. What he ends up finding is a Metagross, which shows itself to have Hidden Power Fire. Spikes do come down, and it's going to be 46% from the HP Fire. So they'll continue on here. Both players contemplating what to do. ZF trying to figure out if it's worth it to spike again to take another very big chunk from the Hidden Power Fire. It's also possible that he just switches here to a Water. Something like Swampert should be very safe now since it doesn't have HP Grass. Granted, Psychic would do a decent chunk depending on the Water, and you also have to worry about getting blown up on. So ZF contemplating his options here. Looks like some kind of Calm Mind Baton Pass team from Fakes, given the lead Celebi that has Calm Mind. So it is just Hidden Power Fire again. That's going to connect with Rachi. Does a lot less to Rachi than it does to Skarm, only 34% this time. Rachi, having come in for the first time, could have just about anything. Rachi paired with Skarm could be anything. It could be Super Rachi. It could be a traditional, bulky, Calm Mind Wish to attack Rachi. It could be Asterachi with Body Slam. Hard to know from Fakes' point of view. If the best thing you can do to it is get it with Hidden Power Fire, then I think it's really hard to stay in here. If he has Earthquake, which is unlikely because HP Fire and Earthquake are close to never on the same set, but if he does happen to have Earthquake here, then I would probably stay in and go for it. It's probably just a wish turn from ZF, I would think, just to be uber safe in case Fakes pushes this issue. I mean, you could just generically Body Slam, but like, what if meta just stays in? Or like, you could just go Fire Punch, but there's a lot of things that could come in that just wouldn't care about that. Granted, that gives you the chance to just find the BS Burn, which has double the odds of happening thanks to Serene Grace, but all in all, I think when it's this early in the game and you're down a game, I think safe plays are probably good. I think Wish is probably the play from ZF if he has it, but it's just so hard to know without knowing the set, without knowing the team. He obviously has a lot more information than I do. This is just me speculating from the outside looking in. So he decides to go Fire Punch. It does do a nice chunk, does not find the burn. Now it gets awkward. Now he's in a position, do you even live another Hidden Power Fire? The first one only did 34%, second one did 39%, so we have an idea of the damage range. So theoretically, a Hidden Power could kill here, but it has a good chance to not kill. And ZF decides to gamble on it. He stays in, goes Fire Punch. It's going to connect with Moltres for very little damage, and there's no sand in play either, so Moltres is going to be back up to 100% in a couple short turns, and now we find Blissey staring it down. Donut Shop Cop. Yeah. That's going to be a switch, and Metagross comes in. Fire Blast connecting. That's really good for ZF. Going to catch him by surprise with the Fire Blast there, and Meta's going to die. So that was a really good turn for him, and ZF is going to take the momentum and the lead. Dugtrio comes in to the Combine Celebi, which almost certainly has passed. The question is, can he live here? And the answer is no. That's either an adamant Dugtrio or a really good damage roll. But ZF very much ahead now after that sequence. This game looking very good for ZF. Gengar comes in for the follow-up. There is Thunderbolt. Does very little to Bliss. Very little it has to do to threaten it here other than, I guess, boom on it and then follow up with a Dugtrio. Or I guess it could like Hypnosis, Focus Punch combo it, but most likely, Blissey's pretty safe here. And even if you do boom and Doug, I think trading 1-for-1 from where ZF sits right now is fine. He's up 2 Pokemon. You want to boom on me? You want to trade 1-for-1? Sure. Oh, it looks like he doesn't even need to Dugtrio follow up if he even has that because he just gets a crit. We'll see if it matters or not. I don't think I mind this if I'm ZF. I mean, the fact that it doesn't force out the Dugtrio, if there is a Dugtrio, is a little bit annoying. But like I said, trading 1-for-1 from where ZF sits, I think, is fine. Fine and dandy, for sure. Let those trades happen. Kuhn beginning to set up. He gets a Calm Mind, +1 Surf kills Moltres. There is a Dugtrio follow-up, which makes the boom make a little bit more sense. I don't think it kills from this HP without a crit. Yep, it does not. Dugtrio goes down, and Fakes is down to his last poke. But hey, that's a good last poke to have. Last poke Kuhn is definitely a good one. So there's more than 0 chance here. Here's Taunt. That's smart. That's going to block Calm Mind. The other thing that the Gar could have done is just boomed on it, but this is going to work out well. He's just going to continue to Taunt spam it, preventing it from Calm Minding or resting, and then he's going to follow up with Dugtrio. So I think this is going to work in ZF's favor. He should be able to get a Thunderbolt off here. Oh, Destiny Bond. That works. Alrighty, that works just as well. But ZF was going to get this one either way. He's going to take out Fakes here. A couple of nice plays that really, really broke Fakes' back in this game. And that is going to send us to a Game 3, which I can't wait to see. And then Fakes joking around in the comments. ZF says GG. Fakes says it's not GG because I lost. Perfect. Alrighty. Game 3 coming up. Going to be a good one. The first game, like I said, I think should have been ZF's way. So in theory, this could have been a 2-0 victory for ZF, but that's not how it works in Pokemon. There's no shoulda, woulda, coulda. They are going to a Game 3, and either player can win it. ZF has looked like the better player in the series so far, but it's Pokemon, man. Anything can happen. See what happens here as we wait for the third and final game. Excited to see it play out. Still stuck on that Game 1 crit, man. ZF got robbed. I mean, Dougie did have 3 opportunities to do it, so like it seemed more dramatic than it was and more unlikely than it actually was because it happened on the very last possible opportunity. But still, that was very unlucky and it mattered a lot. But I mean, sometimes you have to play for luck. I mean, for Fakes, he did what he had to do in that situation, right? I mean, if he knows that he doesn't have a phaser, he can't blow the thing out or roar the thing out. He's got to do what he's got to do. And in that situation, that meant playing for luck, unfortunately, playing for a crit. That's kind of just a crappy part of the game that we play, but it is nevertheless part of the game. And yeah, that's what needed to happen, and that's what did happen for Fakes. And that's why we're here, going to a Game 3 as opposed to this series already being done with a 2-0 victory for Fakes, or for ZF rather. So just waiting on the third game here. Should be starting any moment. They didn't waste too much time in between games before. I mean, I'm just chilling out here, not looking at the Discord. So if one of them had gone, hey man, I need 10 minutes, give me a sec, I wouldn't know that. I'd be just sitting here blabbering, trying to kill the dead air. I can check the Discord real quick. I just don't want to miss the game. What's going on here? Oh yeah. Lots of people chatting about this stuff here. Replays. Oh yeah. All sorts of good stuff going on here, but not the Game 3 that I'm looking for. For those of you who are watching this and who are not actually in this channel, you are missing out. You've got to get in the CALLOUS Invitational 3 Discord channel. All the players that are in the tournament are hanging out here. You can talk with them, interact with them. We have a prediction thread going on, which I'll show you guys real quick. There are a lot of people, pretty good amount of votes for these. Look at these. A lot of these are having, 60 plus votes. So yeah, I mean, there's people who are taking guesses as to who they think they're going to win on any given round, stuff like that. It's all just good fun. And it'll also let you know when the matches are, because we have a schedule thread as well. We have a matches tag. So all the reason in the world to just come join. If you're not like a social person, don't want to talk, you don't have to. Just join the channel and just hang out. But it's the place to be if you want to follow this tour. Yes, I upload games, but they're not immediate, whereas you could see the games live if you are knowing when they're going to happen, which you do by joining the Discord channel. Anyhow, here is Game 3. We've got, for the final time, ZF on the bottom and Fakes on the top. We've got immense lead for Fakes, and we have a Metagross lead for ZF. These Pokemon both threatening to each other, but Salamence should, in theory, have the advantage in the matchup, unless it's like a CB Mence, and Meteor Mash becomes a real threat in that instance. So they both definitely have something to think about here. It's possible they both simply opt to switch here. It's so hard on turn 1 when you don't have any clue about the set or the team or whatever. You can only go based off your own information. Obviously, these guys know what's on their team, but they don't know the other guy's team, and they're both going to switch here. We end up with Gengar on Starmie, which again is a mutually threatening matchup. Fakes is comfortable with it. He goes T-Wave. ZF was not comfortable with it, and he goes to Lax. That's going to get hit with the T-Wave, and the Para kicks in. Whether or not that ends up mattering, we will see. And we end up with meta on meta after both players switch. Other than T-Wave, there has not been a single attack yet in this game, though that may change this turn. But again, the metas could be afraid of each other based on what set they have, and we could end up seeing something other than attacks here. Protect and Earthquake, respectively. Okay, so that gives Fakes some amount of information. Earthquake probably rules out a mixed meta. The only way it's mixed meta is if it doesn't have Boom, which is unlikely. Like, it could be Meteor Mash, Earthquake, HP Grass, Psychic, or HP Grass, Thunder Punch, for example. Something like that. But Earthquake usually means it is not a mixed set, and it's going to be strictly physical. So it could be a Choice Bander, it could be a Pinchberry set, it could be an Agilagross. Those are the things I'd be thinking about right now. I would operate and thinking that it's stuck on Earthquake right now. That might not be the case, but I would switch if I'm Fakes, thinking that meta's either going to switch or it's going to Earthquake again. And it does, in fact, Earthquake again. Fakes does the same back. Much heavier damage bottom side for ZF, but ZF does not have leftovers. Fakes does, and he's already shown Protect. Fakes is also the slower of the two Metagross. So all things considered, Fakes he either has to Protect or he has to switch. And he does just go for the Protect and get the lefty. ZF should switch at this point because it's crystal clear that Fakes is also going to switch. And ZF agrees, and we end up with Gengar on Salamence here. This is probably a free Will-O-Wisp opportunity, which is, I think, what I would do if he has that. If he's got Hypnosis, then I would go for that. I don't see a point in attacking here. I mean, yeah, you could just Ice Punch, but there's no way that Mence is staying in here. You could also predict something else going in, go for T-Bolt. Yeah, I don't like the Ice Punch there. I think Will-O-Wisp would have been a lot better. He's going to miss it now and get punished for it with Shadow Ball, but I mean, you should have just gone for it in the first place. If he connected with the Will-O-Wisp on the switch on Lax, that would have been very, very good. Kind of his own fault that he went for the Ice Punch, which I do not like And wow, bad hacks here for ZF. He's going to miss Will-O-Wisp, which is 75-25. And then his Breloom is going to come in, get immediately paralyzed by Body Slam. And then he also does not get the Effect Spore trigger, which honestly, I'm not going to pretend I know the number for Effect Spore. Whatever percent chance it is of it activating. Somebody can let me know in the comments. But yeah, the Effect Spore does not trigger either. So a good sequence there for Fakes. Will-O-Wisp missing, then an immediate para on Body Slam. That puts ZF in a bad spot. Fakes now in the lead for sure as the players are talking about stupid things in the chat. You'll see that in a moment when it scrolls up. But obviously ZF less than thrilled with that sequence. Can't blame him. It definitely did not favor him at all. That is definitely an advantage for Fakes. But again, I fault ZF for allowing this to happen. Full para sucks there too. But I just go back to a couple turns ago where if ZF had simply gone for the Will-O-Wisp on that turn instead of the Ice Punch, he would have had 2 opportunities to Will-O-Wisp the Lax instead of the just 1. And that might have changed things in a big, big way. A burn on the Lax would have changed this game dramatically. The Breloom would still be safe. I mean, it's just a huge sequence, and I think ZF screwed up. We'll see if he can dig out of it, but that Breloom ends up doing actual nothing, and things going from bad to worse for Fakes. Here comes the Magneton switch. That's going to be a trap and a kill, and Breloom, like I said, did actual nothing. It never made a move. Para kicked in. Effect Spore never triggered. Not looking pretty here whatsoever. Here's a DD Tower, and where there's a DD Tower, there's a way, but he is going to have to predict perfectly, and it starts right there. That is the right prediction. What he could have done if he thought Mence was coming in is he could have Dragon Danced instead, but that would have been wrong. He would have gotten hit with the Thunder Wave. He stays in, he Earthquakes the Mag, so that's step 1 to clawing back into this game. Now Gengar goes Will-O-Wisp. There we go. That's going to burn the Lax. A little late for that. I still think it was a mistake not to do it before, but we'll see if he can dig out of it. We've got ourselves a 5-4 situation. Fakes in the lead. 1 unrevealed poke for each player. And the tower we know is DD, and it had its Lumberry that we know that it had popped already by the Magneton. That's where we stand right now. Lax is at 100% for ZF, but it's paralyzed. Here comes the T-Tar. Body Slam hits it, does not get para on it. Very little damage thanks to both resistance and burn. Here's Meta. Rock Slide over prediction there. Dragon Dance turns out it would have been the better play. Here comes Salamence anyway. And there's an over prediction Earthquake. So Fakes outmaneuvering ZF a couple of turns in a row. And there's a Brick Break knockout. ZF lets that happen. He gets outplayed several turns in a row and ends up losing his DD Tower. I think his DD Tower was very threatening there had he just maneuvered it a little bit better. T-Wave and Substitute respectively here. He is trying to sweep the game with a Jirachi. Critical hit pops the sub. Thunderbolt, big damage on Starmie. 20% chance for para, doesn't get it. Surf now, 20%. Substitute. It's an obvious wish turn for ZF if he has it, but he's fighting through paralysis. Heracross, the last poke from Fakes. There is Thunderbolt, 42%, doesn't find the para. Hera does have leftovers. Brick Break puffs the sub. Thunderbolt, 39%, still does not find the para that he's looking for. Gengar comes in thinking it's Brick Break. It's Mega Horn instead. It does 23% despite the 4x resistance. See what Gengar could do here. Here comes the Burnt Lax. Thunderbolt is the play. 13% is what it takes on the way in. The burn knocks him down to 50. Jirachi comes in. Shadow Ball. It tickles thanks to the burn. 9%. Will it get blown up on here? He scouts for it with Gengar. Yes, he baits out the self-destruct. It blows up into thin air. In this matchup, we see based on the sand, Starmie is faster. Lax comes in to deny the Gengar death. 4-3 situation here in this amped up late game. Here's Heracross. Gengar comes in. He had an opportunity to kill it there had he simply attacked. But Gengar is also a threat. Thunderbolt will be good enough. Heracross goes down. back to this matchup in a 3-3 situation. Starmie's still faster. It's an obvious lax switch. Here it comes. Fakes cannot anticipate that and go to Metagross, which I think is what he should have done because the lax switch is so obvious. Here comes Salamence for Intimidate. Full para kicks in at a bad time. That could have been a boom or a body slam turn. Jirachi comes in now against Salamence. Earthquake kills it immediately. 2-3 situation. Here comes Gengar looking for cleanup duty. We know for a fact that it has Ice Punch here, but he could end up Ice Punching into the Starmie or the Meta, which is bad. So this is a big prediction turn. Maybe he switches up and goes Thunderbolt. He does, and that was wrong, but he gets a crit to bail him out. And we've got ourselves a 2-2 situation. Starmie on Gengar now. This game is super close. Game 3 coming down to the wire. Fucking nail biter here. Starmie still faster. Is he willing to go to the lax here? Lax at 58%, but if he does that, Fakes could and should switch into meta. The play that I want to see Fakes make right now is switch into the Metagross, anticipating the lax switch. I think that wins him the game, because then as long as you don't miss Meteor Mash, I think Fakes just wins. I believe that is the play. We know Starmie's faster here. There's not a lot to think about from ZF's end unless he anticipates the meta and goes straight Thunderbolt, which is a ridiculously ballsy play that is hard to make. I think Fake should switch to meta, and I think that would win him the game. But we'll see what they both do. They are both taking their time. This is tense as fuck. This late game is a nail-biter here. Who will pull the trigger? He goes back to the obvious lax. No! Fakes cannot pull the trigger. We end up with the Snorlax here. He cannot bring in the meta as I think he should have. And now ZF might win this game. It all comes down to whether or not crits happen, whether or not para happens. There's a Focus Punch! That's going to knock out the Metagross! That's going to knock out the meta! And now it just comes down to a crit or a para opportunity. Starmie on lax for the game. Crit or para determines this game. Will it come? The next turn is everything. There's nothing Fakes can do here other than go for Surf. He could, in theory, recover here, but based on the chat, I don't believe he has that. I believe this is just a straightforward attack. If he has recover, he should certainly go for that, but he's got to be very careful because he could just get boomed on. He might have to play for the attack to not simply lose the game on the spot to self-destruct. I think he has to Surf here, even if he has recover. And I think he knows that too, so I think Fakes is going to go for it, and we will see what happens here. This is all going to come down to whether or not there is a crit or a full para. Ridiculously tense. Click the button. I'm dying to see. All the spectators are just waiting for the one turn. Oh, man. He's going to blow up if he has the chance. There's the Surf. There's self-destruct. And ZF is going to take out Starmie. And ZF is going to win the set. Game 3, one of the best games of the tournament so far. Ridiculous nail-biter. I think Fake should have won this game. I think he had opportunities. There's a lot to talk about. This is a great one for a BKC-style narration, for somebody to go back and analyze every little thing that happened there. I think ZF made mistakes by not Will-O-Wisping on that one turn where he went for Ice Punch. I think that Fakes made a mistake by not switching to meta when I called out that he should have in the late game. There were a couple of opportunities in the late game where it should have been a switch and then pull it back for a double switch to gain huge tempo advantage, but the players did not do that. But the way that it played out was still a thriller, and I really, really enjoyed this game. Maybe the best game, or at least the most entertaining game of the tournament so far. UD Charm Flash, their final game was really, really good as well. But this is definitely one of the ones that belongs on the highlight reel. Hope you guys enjoyed. Man, what a great way to end round one. More CALLOUS Invitational coming right on up.